You're in a moment of profound transformation. Look around. The familiar pillars you leaned on, relationships, routines, long-held aspirations, are crumbling. You're left questioning, why now? Why this upheaval after all my effort? But consider this isn't collapse, it's divine construction. This isn't chaos, it's God at work. Not the comfortable, predictable God, but the God who shakes mantles, who clears the path to rebuild. Because if he isn't the bedrock, no structure can truly stand. If he's not the architect, the blueprint lacks his blessing. And anything we build without him, no matter how impressive, is ultimately destined to fall. This message isn't about loss, it's about alignment. It's about God's hand methodically dismantling what was built on pride, fear, haste, ego, and self-will. It's a divine reset, a holy disruption, a sacred demolition only a loving father would initiate. He loves you too deep, light, to let you build a kingdom where he isn't king. This isn't for those who seek comfort without conviction. This is for those who felt the earth shift and realized God might be speaking. Perhaps this destruction isn't punishment, but protection. Maybe it's not the enemy trying to sideline you, but God drawing you closer. He's removing what wasn't built with him, not to destroy, to rebuild you, not to where you were, but to where you were always meant to be. This is the dawn of something deeper, something authentic. If you're willing to release what you build dependently, he's ready to reveal what he's been preparing all along. You can climb the corporate ladder, rise before dawn, hustle for 18 hours, chase accolades and wealth. You can forge an empire with your own hands. But if God wasn't the blueprint, that entire edifice is a ticking time bomb. Our world lionizes effort, but often ignores the sacred, chasing goals without divine guidance. While it may appear polished and influential externally, God doesn't bless what he didn't design or sustain what he didn't sanction. You might soar for a season, but without him as the architect, it won't withstand the storm. Many construct their lives like sandcastles, beautiful on the shore, yet washed away the tide. They wonder why it doesn't endure, why it collapses despite their fervent efforts. Hear this, effort without alignment is exhausting. Hard work doesn't equate to wise work. Success doesn't guarantee security. If God isn't in it, your sweat is in vain without his foundation. You're building a facade, not a future. Truthfully, often prayed for blessings while disregarding God's boundaries. We craved increase, not instruction, favor, not direction. We ran ahead erecting businesses, relationships, and even ministries, then demanded God's blessing. But God isn't a rubber stamp for our disobedience. He doesn't endorse rebellion or anoint our ego. He blesses obedience, surrender, and what he initiates. God is a master builder, but his method is different. He doesn't start with the visible, he starts with the internal. His primary construction site is your heart. If he doesn't build your character first, you can't bear the weight of your calling. If he doesn't shape your soul, success will consume you. He refuses to bless what will ultimately break you. That's not rejection, it's protection. Sometimes, God allows your tower to fall not as punishment, but because he never told you to build it. You're upset it crumbled, but God says, I never approved it, never anointed it, never breathed life into it. You built it from pride, from fear. To prove a point, not fulfill my purpose. He lets it fall because if it stood, it would have stolen your soul. Understand this as the blessing of the Lord brings peace, confirmation, alignment, not just prosperity, but purpose, not just visibility, but validity. God wants you to build right with him as the cornerstone. When God builds it, no one can tear it down. When he breathes on it, no storm can shake it. When he establishes it, it's not merely successful, it's eternal. So, don't rush the build and sacrifice faithfulness. Don't chase the peak and ignore the foundation. When the inevitable winds come, only God's construction will remain. Everything else will fall. God is removing what was built without him, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you stronger, deeper, rooted in him. It's easy to label brokenness a curse, to blame the devil for falling apart. But sometimes, just sometimes, it's not the enemy tearing things down, it's God. The same hands that build also break. The hands that heal also dismantle. We're confused because we expect blessings to always feel good. But often, the greatest blessings are wrapped in pain. The most powerful interventions disguise themselves as destruction. You think it's falling apart, but it's actually falling into place. We mourn lost jobs, ended relationships, closed opportunities, begging for restoration. We don't realize God removed it. Not Satan, not bad luck, but God, because he saw what you didn't. He saw what that thing would become if it stayed. He saw the long-term cost of your short comfort. He saw the compromise, the decay, the poison wrapped in beauty. So, like a loving father, he intervened. Not with a whisper, but with a wrecking ball. Some structures are too hazardous to patch. They need to come crashing down. Here's the unsettling part God rarely warns. He doesn't always explain or give a heads up before shaking the foundation. He just acts. Because he's not negotiating with your disobedience, he's liberating you from it. If he explained everything, you'd bargain your way back into bondage, trying to mend what he's trying to eliminate, cling to what he's trying to free you from. So, he removes it without explanation. All that's left is rubble. And that rubble, listen closely, is sacred. That rubble is where God begins to build something real. But first, he must demolish the fake, the prideful, the selfish, the rushed, the impulsive, the things built to impress, lacking eternal value. The house on sand, ignoring the rock. The structure glorifying you, not him. He tears it down, not because he hates you, but because he loves you too much to let you remain deceived. launched. You're not being punished. You're not being protected, abandoned. You're being realigned. When God breaks something, it's because he wants to bless something. But he won't build on contaminated ground. He won't establish his kingdom on foundations steeped in ego, fear, or hatred. He won't give you power that breeds control. So he digs deep, breaks it all down, and starts anew. This process hurts. It confuses. It humbles. But in that humbling, you rediscover him. Destruction is often the language of rescue. It's God rerouting your life before disaster becomes destiny. That slammed door, that departed person, that failed contract, that sudden storm. It wasn't random. It was divine precision. God isn't just concerned what you want. He's committed to what you need. And sometimes what you need is to lose everything distracting you from him. So, if you stand in the ruins, don't panic. Don't believe the enemy's lie that it's over. Curse this season. Don't try to rebuild without instruction. Just kneel in the dust and surrender. Because where destruction ends, destiny begins. What felt like loss was actually fierce, unrelenting love. The kind of love that refuses to let you settle, that demolishes what isn't meant for you to give you what was always destined. Just because you're comfortable doesn't mean you're where you should be. Comfort can be dangerous, deceptive, a silent killer of destiny. The human heart quickly settles. A little success, recognition, peace. And we believe this must be the promised land. But not everything that feels right is right. Not everything that feels safe is sacred. Some comfort zones are built on disobedience. Some of us reside in places God told us to leave long ago. Obedience isn't always convenient or comfortable. When God called Abraham, he gave a command, not a map. Go, leave your father's house. Leave the familiar. Leave what makes sense. That's true faith. Stepping out before the full picture is visible. But many of us delay obedience. We take a few steps and then camp in, almost. We turn transition into a permanent state, settling in the middle ground because it's easier than pushing through. That's when comfort becomes a cage. Don't confuse peace with permission. Calm waters don't guarantee alignment. Jonah slept peacefully in a storm, yet he was fleeing God on the wrong boat. So don't measure your spiritual life by external quietude. Sometimes God lets you get cozy in disobedience just long enough to realize you've strayed. Then he stirs the waters, shakes the ground, makes things uncomfortable. Not of anger, but out of mercy to awaken you. You call home. God might call disobedience. That job you refuse to leave, that relationship you fear abandoning. That lifestyle that feels safe but drains your soul. Those might be the very places God is trying to extract you from. But because they're familiar, you mistake them for right. That's where the enemy thrives in your comfort zone. He doesn't need to fight you when you've surrendered to stagnation. He just needs you distracted, entertained, and passive enough to miss your purpose. But God's voice doesn't fade if you ignore it. He's still calling, nudging, waiting for you to trust him enough to leave comfort for the divine. Yes, that step will feel terrifying, like loss, like risk. But obedience always comes with divine backing. God funds what he forms. When you walk in his will, you won't need to manufacture blessings. They'll pursue you. So, if life feels stale, if your soul is restless despite external calm, perhaps God is stirring your spirit. Maybe your comfort is captivity. Maybe your peace is just a pause. Maybe God is saying, I never told you to stay here. This was a stop, not your destination. Don't build a life where God only intended to pass you through. Don't make permanent decisions in a temporary season. God won't let you remain comfortable if it costs your calling. He'll shake you. He'll remove what you refuse to surrender. He'll dry up the brook, break the ground, and make things so uncomfortable that you finally move again. His love won't let you settle for less than your calling. When God tries to elevate you, comfort becomes your greatest adversary. Don't idolize ease, chase obedience. Only then will you find true purpose, freedom, and favor. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not every success is from God. Let that sink in. In a world valuing status, money, and recognition, it's easy to believe that rising means winning. But some success is satanic in disguise, designed not to elevate, but to distract, not to grow, but to ensnare your soul and quietly erode it. And God in his mercy sometimes lets what seemed like success crumble before you, not to shame you, but to save you. There are moments when God allows the illusion to perfect job, the distant relationship, the divinely sealed deal. He lets it unravel and we cry, question, even rage at heaven. Why? I prayed. I thought this was my breakthrough. But God knows what you don't, and not all increase is holy, and not every open door leads to peace. Sometimes it leads to bondage, pride, or destruction. The enemy is a master deceiver. He doesn't always appear in darkness. He comes dressed as opportunity. He'll offer success that looks like purpose but pulls you away. He'll let you build a platform that feeds your ego while starving your soul. And if you lack discernment, you'll call it God's favor when it was a trap. That's why discernment is more vital than ambition, because not every blessing is divine. Some are demonic in disguise. Here's the hard true thing: we're quick to change what shines but slow to test its source. We see results and assume they're right. We see numbers, applause, promotions, and forget to ask, is this from you, God? But God won't bless what competes with him. He won't strengthen what secretly steals your worship. So he lets it fall. He lets the curtain drop, the mask come off, and you're left with a choosing rebuild on truth or chase a lie. When God allows crumbling, it's not failure, it's freedom. It's the sound of chains breaking, illusions shattering, truth emerging. It's his way of saying, I never wanted you deceived by the counterfeit. I had something real, eternal, something that wouldn't drain you just to impress. He's not embarrassing you. He's realigning you. He loves you too much to let be fooled by fake success. You might feel like you're losing everything, but you're gaining clarity. You're awakening, discerning what's real and what was never meant to last. That awakening is where true transformation begins. The noise fades, God's voice becomes clear. That's when he rebuilds, not on hype, but on holiness, not on ambition, but on assignment. If your plans are collapsing, if success is turning to ash, don't run, don't panic, don't pretend. Sit in it, learn from it. Ask God to reveal what was real and what was mere decoration. He's not just tearing down, he's building something that won't break next time. He's offering success that won't cost your soul. Counterfeit success is loud but hollow. Real success may begin quietly, but it's unshakable. Let God dismantle what was built without him, so he can raise up something eternal with him. Then you won't need to prove yourself. The fruit will speak. God doesn't want partial obedience. He's not negotiating with your pride. He doesn't want your talents without your trust, your plans without your heart. Divine order begins not with control, but with surrender. Raw, uncomfortable, real surrender. Stripping away strategy, silencing ego, laying all ambition at his feet. That's where alignment starts, not what you can do for God, but what you're willing to lay down. Many want God to build in their lives, but won't hand him the blueprints. They ask for direction, but clutch the steering wheel. They want divine outcomes, but reject divine instructions. That's not how it works. God doesn't bless disobedient architecture or establish what's born of rebellion. Before God builds through you, he requires full access to you, which only comes through surrender. Surrender isn't weakness, worship. It's not giving up, it's giving over, saying, Lord, I trust you more than myself. This is hard for us, trained to hustle and control. But in God's kingdom, surrender is the secret sauce, the doorway to order where chosen's and clarity begins. The moment you let go, God steps in. Divine order isn't just about structure, it's about lordship. Who's truly in charge of your life? Not just in prayer, but in priorities, not just in church attendance, but in decisions. It's easy to profess God is first while your life proves otherwise. God isn't fooled by Christian language. He observes your alignment. Are you seeking him first or fitting him in? Building with him or asking him to bless what you built independently? That's why he often waits. He lets your plans exhaust you, lets you run in circles until you're weary from carrying a weight he never asked you to bear. When you finally reach your limit, he's there, ready to restore, to build something lasting and pure. But only after you surrender, not your image, reputation, or performance. He wants the real you. Broken, frustrated, scared, uncertain. That's where he starts. We want God's blessings without his boundaries, his results without his requirements. But divine order necessitates divine surrender, a daily decision. Every morning, you choose lead yourself or let God lead. React in the flesh or respond by faith. Push your agenda or say, not my will, but yours be done. You cannot carry divine destiny with divided loyalty or walk in full purpose with half-hearted surrender. God won't build on a foundation shifting between pride and faith, can trust. He waits until you're all in. When you finally say, Lord, I surrender everything, divine order floods in. Doors open that no one can shut. Peace floods in, even when life makes no sense. If your life feels chaotic, ask, have you truly surrendered? Not just your sins, but your schedule, not just your failures, but your future. Divine order doesn't start with achievement. It starts with abandonment. Abandoning your way, your will, your timing, and trusting God enough to stop building without him. That's the posture he honors, the ground he blesses. That's when chaos turns into calling, and confusion becomes clarity. Delay doesn't mean denial. It doesn't mean God forgot, changed his mind, or turned his back. Sometimes, delay is God's greatest act of love. What feels like him holding you back is him holding you together. You thought he was punishing you, but he was protecting you, shielding you from the very thing you begged for. He saw the trap and the opportunity, heard conversations you couldn't, discerned intentions you were blind to. So, he delayed, not to hurt, but to save. We are impatient, wanting it now, the relationship, the platform, the breakthrough, the influence. But God sees what we can't. He's not just preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. What good is a door if your character can't bear the weight on the other side? What good is a platform if pride causes your fall? He won't give you something that will crush you in the name of favor. He waits not to frustrate, but to form you. Waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. They are sacred, refining. They strip you down, stretch your faith, burn away self-reliance. In delay, God detoxes you of idols. He confronts the parts of you clinging to control. He lets time pass to expose whether you desire his will or just his gifts. Delay reveals your heart, showing if you chase God or merely what he can give. Here's the raw truth of many of us were angry at God for not opening doors that would have destroyed us. We put it over block blessings that weren't blessings at all. We prayed for things that would have poisoned our spirit. And God being a good father, said, not yet, or sometimes no. No, we didn't understand thinking delay meant rejection, but he wasn't rejecting, he was redirecting. Look back the doors you once cried over, the people you thought you couldn't live without, the opportunities you believed were your only shot. Now you realize God did you a favor. He saved you from what you couldn't walk away from, removed what you were too emotionally attached to. Yes, it hurt, but if it didn't break you, it would have buried you. That's not punishment, that's protection. God's timing isn't just right, it's right. He doesn't move by pressure or panic. He's not rushed because he's secure. He knows exactly what he's doing. The moment you surrender to that truth, your perspective shifts. You stop forcing things, comparing your pace, thinking delay means defeat. Instead, you trust that the God who started the work knows how to finish it on time. So, next time you're in a waiting season, don't curse it. Don't despise it. Lean into it. Ask God, what are you protecting me from? What are you building in me? What are you burning off me? Because there's always purpose in the pause. And when it's finally time, when preparation has produced the person, God will open doors you couldn't have knocked on yourself. When He opens it, no one can shut it. When He says it's time, nothing can delay it. So, no, the delay wasn't punishment. It was mercy. It was wisdom. It was God loving you too much to let you succeed in something that would separate you from. He's not just preparing your future. He's preserving your soul. Trust the delay. It's doing more than you think. When God begins to tear things down, it can feel like the end, like losing everything you've worked for, prayed over, or thought you needed. But here's the truth many miss. God never removes without a reason. He never demolishes without a divine design. What looks like loss is often the beginning of something far greater. God doesn't dismantle to destroy. He dismantles to rebuild stronger, deeper, wiser, rooted in truth. We are often too attached to our own creations. We pour time, energy, and identity into structures never meant to lasting a forced relationship, a rushed career path, a worldly version of success. Then we wonder why it crumbles. Some of what we built stemmed from fear, ego, unhealed wounds, trying to prove something to an indifferent audience. And God, in His love, begins to dismantle it, not to punish, but to reset. When a builder demolishes an old structure, it's not disdain for the land. It's because the foundation is compromised, because what stands cannot support what's coming. God views our lives similarly. I see the cracks. He says, the hidden faults, what you hide beneath the fat hide. So, He allows life to strike where we refuse to surrender. He lets the storm test the foundation. When it shakes, when things fall, we panic. But what feels like devastation is actually renovation. God is making room for something greater. Before planting new seeds, He must remove weeds. Before laying new bricks, He must clear the broken ones. And yes, it's painful, requiring release of the familiar, letting go of what we once celebrated, facing the reality that parts of our lives were built without Him at the center. But you cannot ascend while clinging to dead weight. You cannot carry glory while holding garbage. One must go. Here's the beautiful part. God doesn't abandon you in the ruins. He descends into the dust with you. He rebuilds with His own hands, piece by piece, moment by moment. Character before calling, foundation before future, purpose before platform. He builds what He designed, not what the world expected. And what He builds, no storm can destroy, no enemy can shake, no man can dismantle. When God puts it together, it doesn't just stand, it thrives. You might be standing in a season of rubble, viewing the fragments of what once was, wondering how it all collapsed. But don't despair. Don't give up. God isn't finished, He's just beginning. What was taken was temporary. What's coming is eternal. When He reconstructs your life, it will be so aligned, so anointed, so unshakable you'll look back and thank Him for every broken piece. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't the blessing, it's the breaking. Because only what's broken can be rebuilt God's way. Only what's surrendered can be resurrected. And what God is building now may not resemble your request, but it will be everything you needed. He's not just restoring your life, He's redefining it from the ground up. And this time, it won't be built on applause, ambition, or appearance. It will be built on Him. So, trust the process. Trust the tearing down, the silence, the slow rebuilding. Because when it's all said and done, you won't just have a life that looks good. You'll have a life that lasts, a life that honors God, a life that can withstand fire and still stand tall. That's what He's doing in you. He's reconstructing something greater, and He won't stop until every piece reflects His glory. Now you stand at the edge, gazing at what has fallen. The broken fragments of plans you poured your heart into, the silence after the noise, the emptiness where structure once stood. But this is not your ending. This is your awakening. This is the moment you realize everything removed had to go, not because you weren't good enough, but because He loves you too much to let you settle for less than divine purpose. You didn't lose control. You never truly had it. And that's a blessing because the most peerless place is being in charge of something God never asked you to lead. But now, He's resetting the stage, clearing the space, tearing down idols, shaking off distractions. Not to embarrass you, but to establish you. The next thing He builds through you won't just look good. It will be anointed. It won't just touch people. It will transform them because it will be built on obedience, on faith, on Him. Let this be your turning point. Let's be the season you stop fighting for what He's already declared finished. Let this be the moment your hands release the wheel and your knees hit the ground. Because what He's about to do through you. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, and no one around you will take credit for it. They'll know it had to be God. You've tried it your way, built on talent, timing, tenacity, and discovered it wasn't enough. But now you know better.